Hello dear students, today we will learn about the GI physiology. Hormonal control means how hormonal factor control the GI physiology, that we will talk about. So before entering the topic, you must know that the GI physiology is mainly controlled by the nervous system and the hormonal system. In nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, and even in autonomic nervous system a specific part in um, like enteric nervous system mainly controls the GI physiology, and then another part is the hormonal part, hormonal control. So today in this lecture we will be focused on the hormonal control. uh, Other parts I have dealt in the uh, GI, like autonomic nervous system. You can go and watch that from there. And since hormone, I also talked about the endocrinology, physiology. So for hormones, their sources, chemical natures, please go for the endocrinology lecture. So let's begin. Hormones. First we should know the what are the hormones that controlling the GI physiology, and what are their sources. Then for secretion of that those hormones, what are the stimuli and their major functions or actions, we will talk about. We will talk about. So let's begin. Uh, First I will mention here all hormones. Like there are 5 hormones that mainly regulate the GI physiology, and this will be equally effective in the biochemistry also, medical and paramedical sciences. And for detail, if you want to learn further, you can follow the textbook of the Guyton and Hall, whichever edition is uh, allowed in your territory. So hormones. First is the gastrin. Second is cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. Another one is secretin. Secretin. Fourth one is glucose dependent. Glucose dependent insulinotropic peptide. Please write the full form. Glucose dependent insulinotropic peptide, or you also call it as the gastric inhibitory peptide. Gastric inhibitory peptide. And next will be the motilin. Then I will mention here the site. Site for this gastrin is the G cells of antrum, which is part of the stomach, and it will also be secreted from the upper part of the intestine, small intestine, like duodenum and jejunum. But major source is the G cells of the antrum. And also remember, upper part of the intestine, small intestine, also secrete this gastrin. Then cholecystokinin, the source for it is the eye cells of small intestine, means mainly the duodenum and jejunum, jejunum, and some amount is secreted also from the ileum. Then there is the secretin. So it is secreted from the as cells of duodenum, jejunum, and ileum Then here is the gastric inhibitory peptide. It will be secreted from the K cells of K cells of uh, K cells of duodenum, upper part of the small intestine, that is duodenum and jejunum. Last one is the motilin, very important hormone. I will uh, mention about it, which is very important MCQ and Viva question. Motilin is secreted from the am cells of stomach and upper GI, small intestine, like duodenum and jejunum. So how to remember these hormones? I have a mnemonics. Please uh, remember at genius chases a specific goal and motto. Genius chases a specific goal and motto. G for gastrin, C H for cholecystokinin, S for secretin, and this G for glucose dependent insulinotropic peptide or gastric inhibitory peptide, and then the AM will stand for the motilin. Remember, genius chases a specific goal and motto. And I have also a short MCQ, mnemonics for the site of the secretion, means Gita and Inna are searching Komal and Muna. For making rhyme, you can write here Munna, but I will write here Muna. Gita and Inna are searching Komal and Muna, means G cells, I cells as searching as means as cells of small intestine, K for K cells of duodenum and jejunum, and this AM for AM cells of the stomach, duodenum and jejunum. Please remember. This is the mnemonics, but when you study about detail about these hormones and at detail, it will be automatically saved in your memory. So now I will talk about this stimulus and the actions. Before explaining any topic, what my aim is that I always try to clear the concept. If you have the clear cut concept, you can answer the questions of related topics easily, any type of the questions. Okay, then first we will talk about the action of this gastrin. So this gastrin, first I will create a background that this will act on the stomach and what is happening in the stomach I will be showing that. So for that I will draw this part. Gastrin, like gaster is the term for the stomach, so it is related to something to the stomach. So what is happening in the stomach? Let's see. Like I will talk in the protein digestion in detail, digestion absorption. So this gastrin, pepsinogen, there is something called proenzyme pepsinogen. It is the proenzyme inactive form of the pepsin, and this there will be also a proenzyme called prorenin, and this should be activated as renin. renin renin and these two enzymes will be digesting the protein like this pepsin, what it will cause, how to write, okay, larger proteins, this pepsin will cause larger protein to be digested into the smaller peptides, smaller peptides peptides and this renin, it will cause, it will do, it will cause, this renin will do like it will digest mainly the milk protein that is casein into the paracasein. Why I am mentioning, I will show here. For this proenzyme to be activated, it needs the hydrochloric acid. It needs the hydrochloric acid, and for the action of these enzymes, these activated enzymes, it will need the acidic medium, acidic medium, acidic medium, mainly the pH range below the 4, pH below the 4, or when you talk about the specifically like 1.5 to 3.5, in this range of the pH this enzyme will work. So here HCl is needed for the stomach action, and you know the protein digestion starts in the stomach. So this gastrin, what it should cause, it should, the functions I will mention here, it should cause the release of the stimulates, it stimulates gastric secretion, gastric secretion, and major component of the gastric secretion is the hydrochloric acid, you know. Then it will stimulate the mucosal growth of stomach, mucosal growth of the stomach. First hydrochloric acid is needed for this enzyme action. Next is the, when we eat the food, like we eat street food, preserved food, and sometimes raw foods, on contaminated foods, if for those, in those food there is the microorganisms that may cause the pathology in the stomach, and intestine. So this acidic condition, why is there acidic condition in the stomach, act as the physiological or chemical barrier. It destroys the microorganisms in acidic condition in the stomach first, and then it its content is causing the enzyme action in the stomach. So for that reason it should cause the release of the gastric secretion, and in acidic condition acid can damage the uh, cell lining of the uh, stomach or underlying mucosa, underlying tissues. So for the protection of those cells underlying mucosa, it should cause the growth of the mucosa, that mainly secretion of the mucous gland and uh, mucous thick mucous layer should be there to prevent direct contact of this hydrochloric acid or acidic fluid into the lining cells of the stomach. So this is about the gastrin. First you know what is the need, and then it will be causing the same thing. Now talk about the cholecystokinin. All these hormones, motilin I will talk differently, separately. Now the rest three enzymes will act on the small intestine, upper part of the small intestine, and what is needed there. So let's first talk about that, and then I will talk about the individual functions. In small intestine, there should be the digestion of the mainly the fat and the proteins and carbohydrates. All digestion, final digestion should be carried in the small intestine, also in the upper part of the small intestine. So the enzyme actions in a small intestine, enzyme actions in a small intestine, uh, actions enzymes, okay, enzymes work enzymes work in a small intestine in slightly basic pH, slightly basic or neutral pH, basic pH. So first there is the high acidic environment, a higher acidic environment in the uh, stomach, so that should be neutralized. Okay, before entering in gastrin, I will mention one more point, that it is okay, I didn't talk about the stimulus in that part, so I will talk here. The stimulus will be the protein. Why? Because the protein digestion is mainly carried out in the stomach. How I will shown there, I have already shown there. Protein then obviously is the distension. If the stomach get distended, the secretion will be enhanced, and there is the nervous. I will talk about the nervous uh, stimuli also, because this part of the major part of the GI is supplied by the vagus nerve, and vagus nerve uh, has a two component. This is the, let's suppose, vagus nerve, cranial nerve 10, cranial nerve 10. So one neurotransmitter should be acetylcholine, and it will act on the chief cells of the gastric gland and will cause the secretion of the pepsinogenin and prorenin. And another neurotransmitter is the gastric releasing peptide, gastrin releasing peptide. It will also cause the release of the gastrin. So this is the stimulus of the gastrin. Okay, now enzyme work in slightly basic pH, so pH should be neutralized there, and obviously this is causing the acidic secretion. So acid will inhibit its secretion. Acid will inhibit gastric secretion. Okay. Then it will cause the release of those enzymes or factors that causing the digestion in the upper part of the stomach, upper part of the small intestine. So neutralize pH first, then secretion of enzymes that cause digestion in small intestine. So all these needs to be fulfilled in the small intestine, and these hormones will be causing those functions. So let's see, talk about the cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin this cholecystokinin actions, we will talking about this. It will stimulate major is the stimulate pancreatic enzyme secretions. Like pancreatic enzyme contains the trypsin, chymotrypsin, and pancreatic alpha amylase, and then will be the lipase. So pancreatic enzyme secretion will be enhanced by this cholecystokinin. Then it will cause stimulate pancreatic and biliary from gallbladder, biliary bicarbonate, mainly the sodium bicarbonate secretions. Why? This is for the digestion and this is for the neutralization of the pH, because these enzymes will work in the slightly basic pH only. And chyme from the stomach contains highly acidic pH, a highly acidic content that is less pH. Then it will also cause the growth of the pancreas, stimulate growth of exocrine pancreas. If there is the proper growth of the exocrine part of the pancreas, then only the pancreatic enzyme will be secreted in the adequate amount. So it will cause the same growth of exocrine pancreas. Then other functions it will cause that it inhibits gastric emptying. Very important function, emptying. I will show a MCQ here. And it will also cause a strong contraction of gallbladder and relaxes sphincter of Oddi and cause release of the mainly the biliary bicarbonate, and along with bile secretion will be also enhanced by this cholecystokinin. And bile is needed for the emulsification of fat. I will talk about the fat digestion about that. So These are the functions of the cholecystokinin. What is sphincter of Oddi? I will briefly mention about that. This is the common hepatic duct, and here is coming the pancreatic duct from the that carries the pancreatic secretion. It will ultimately merge and open into the second part of the duodenum. Second part of the duodenum, very specific anatomical location. I will talk in the anatomy. That upper part will show the foregut derivatives, and lower part is the midgut derivatives. And then from this point, upper blood supply will be the under artery, and from lower part under artery will supply. So I will talk about in detail in the anatomy. So here is the something, this is common hepatico-pancreatic duct, and here will be some guarding sphincter is known as the sphincter of Oddi. Sphincter of Oddi, since it is causing the contraction of the gallbladder content should reach into the small intestine. For that, the sphincter should be relaxed, and this is the pancreas, you know. So this is the function of the cholecystokinin. And I will talk about the here very important MCQ questions, like besides cholecystokinin, all enzymes, all these hormones, these two hormones will also inhibit the gastric emptying, or inhibit the gastrin release. But the question will be in MCQ, like which of the following is a strong hormone for inhibiting or even strongest, you can call inhibiting gastric emptying. Your option is the cholecystokinin, then secretin. C is the GIP, and D is non. Let's suppose, which of the following is a strong hormone for inhibiting gastric emptying? Options are cholecystokinin, secretin, GIP, and non. So your answer should be this cholecystokinin. A student gets confused here at gastric inhibitory peptide. They think that this is as the name suggests, it will be inhibiting strongly the gastric emptying. No, the more stronger stimuli is the cholecystokinin that will inhibit the gastric emptying. Why it should be gastric emptying should be inhibited or slowed? Because there is a highly acidic content in the stomach, in the chyme, and if that highly acidic content comes into the duodenum in higher rate and higher amount, that acidic condition may cause the erosion of the gastric duodenal mucosa and cause irritation. So prevent that damage, the gastric emptying should be slowed down. So this is your important MCQ question. And again from the important MCQ questions will also be asked like which is the strongest stimuli or hormone that causes strongest contraction of the gallbladder and relaxes the sphincter of Oddi. Then your answer should be the cholecystokinin, and all functions is equally important. Now talk about the secretin. Sorry. Talk about the secretin. Secretin, what it will do? Some functions are common, like secretin it will stimulates stimulates pancreatic bicarbonate secretion to neutralize the acidic pH. Then it will cause this secretin, the strong stimulus. It will also cause pancreatic mucosal growth. Pancreatic exocrine growth stimulates exocrine exocrine pancreas. Then it will inhibits or slow down gastrin release and hence gastric secretion. Gastrin release and gastric secretion. These are the major functions of the secretin. Now, okay, then stimulus. I forgot about mention the stimulus again here of the cholecystokinin. The stimulus is the protein main, because protein digestion or protein even fat, carbohydrate all will cause the secretion of this cholecystokinin. Mainly the protein, then is the fat, because it is causing the release of the bile from the gallbladder. So fat obviously will cause the secretion of the cholecystokinin. Then acid, because acidic chyme is causing the increased release of the this cholecystokinin, and ultimately this cholecystokinin will cause the increased release of the bicarbonate from the pancreas and gallbladder. So secretin, for the secretin, so it is mainly causing the secretion of the bicarbonate. The stimulus will be like here is the fat. Obviously it also causes the release of the bile secretion. It also will enhance, mainly the enhance bile secretion. So the fat is the here the fat will be the stimulus for the secretin, and also the acid, because this acid is causing enhanced release of the pancreatic bicarbonate. Now I will talk about the gastric inhibitory peptide. This gastric inhibitory peptide, it will stimulate uh, release of insulin, and inhibit, it will inhibit also the gastric emptying, inhibit gastric emptying. However, the A strong stimuli, a strong hormone for inhibiting gastric emptying is the cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin, and stimulus for this GIP will be the like all types of food, like proteins, like amino acids, uh, okay, amino acids, fatty acids, and in some amount the monosaccharides too, monosaccharides. Then motilin, the very important, the very important hormones, the motilin. This motilin, the function is stimulate, it stimulate motilin stimulates gastric release, gastric secretion, gastric stimulate gastric secretion, and causes cyclically motility of stomach and intestine, cyclical wave of cyclical wave of contraction and relaxation, contraction and relaxation of stomach and intestine uh, small intestine, called or by mechanism myoelectric myoelectric complexes myoelectric complexes myoelectric complexes in every 90 minutes, in fasting fasting person. The important MCQ and Viva question will be like this is these hormones are acting when the secreting and are being secreted and acting when the food come in the stomach and intestine, but this motilin, it is secreted in the interdigestive phase. Like when we are fasting, at that condition there is also the, in fasting condition we are not having the food, but there is the continuous secretion of the mucus and other enzymes, hormones in the GI tract also. So that should be cleared off, so that functions are carried out by this motilin. The MCQ and Viva question will be like motilin when it is secreted and when it causes the gastric or intestinal motility. So it will secreted in the interdigestive phase or fasting state, and it will cause the gastric and intestinal motility during the fasting or interdigestive stage. This is about the motilin. So I hope you understood the GI physiology. Thank you for watching.